Welcome. In front of me I have the Oppo Pad Neo, and today I'll go for unboxing along with the spec look for this device and just a brief overview, I guess. So anyway, this tiny little box contains our tablet. Probably by the looks of it you can see that there won't be any charger in here. So let's pop it open. Now, starting off, this device was released at the beginning of 2024, and it is more towards the budget end of tablets. So honestly, at the price that it comes at, I don't mind not having a charger. That's fine. When I do start having a problem with not having a charger, when you're paying $1,800 for a device and you're getting the bare minimum. So here's our device. That's a lens. Just squeeze that out. Come on. There we go. I have to say, I dig the design. It looks pretty good. Let's boot it up just so we can see how the display looks like. Here we have just some paper that covered this area. And in here we have our Type A to Type C cable. I do appreciate the fact that even though they didn't include a charger, they included a Type A to Type C, unlike Samsung, which gives you Type C to Type C. Now the reason I prefer this option is because if you already have a charger, chances are that the charger isn't Type C. It's Type A, because that's what we used to have. And chances are, like when it comes down to Samsung, that the charger that you have at home is still better than what Samsung would sell you for 3 times more than what you already have laying casually at home. But the cable won't work because your charger probably is Type A, while they give you Type C, forcing you to kind of buy their charger. Well, that being said, you always can use just any kind of other Type C cable. But the reason I'm pointing that out is because when it comes down to Samsung is very iffy when it comes down to like working with other cables. And they do have some garbage ass ways of trying to, get you into buying everything that they have. So chargers, cables, and all that shit. So I appreciate that at least Oppo decided to give you a Type A cable, maybe without charger, but still. Now, here's our device. It has relatively modern bezels right here, specifically considering the price of this device, which is about 240 euros. So I would say it's on an affordable side, and it offers a pretty good bang for the buck, I would argue. So the display right here is an 11.4 inch display running a resolution of 1720 by 2408. So it is more of closer to like a squarish display compared to like the traditional 16 by 9. Now, it is also an LCD IPS with 1 billion colors, 90 Hz refresh rate, and a typical brightness of about 400 nits, with 82% screen to body ratio and 260 pixels per inch. Now, the display right here is actually pretty okay. It could have been better, that's for sure, but like the price right here is just 240 euros. So I would argue that this is a pretty decent offer. Personally, if I would have to be picking a device for myself, I probably would want something that has AMOLED display over like probably the aspect ratio that they're offering right here. But it does supposedly have 1 billion colors, so it should be pretty nice and colorful. Though the reason I would be going with something like an AMOLED is because I would probably be watching videos on here, YouTube, Netflix, and all that. So having something that produces nice, vibrant colors, bright colors, and also produces super deep blacks. So with AMOLED displays, basically like anything that is black gets turned off, so you have amazing contrast ratios. So that's why I would be going with something like an AMOLED over the IPS that this has. But that's just, like I said, personal preference. Now, moving on, the device runs on Android 13 with ColorOS 13.2, though I believe right now we have the newest one would be Android 14, which it should either already have an update to it, or if not, then it will get an update later on into the future. Additionally, the device is being powered by a 8000 mAh battery, so that is pretty decent. And we have that 33 wired watts charging. So there's no info on how fast it's going to charge with this kind of charger, but I can presume that it's going to give you like basically full charge in about hour and a half, something along those lines. Now continuing, the device is running on Helio G99 processor, comes with either 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, with, if I can find it, 128 gigs of storage, which would come with 6 gigs of RAM, or 128 with 8 gigs of RAM. Now both of those options, which technically both of them have the same amount of storage, the storage type used is UFS 2.2, so it's more on like a budget side compared to devices nowadays. And for people that don't know what that is, what I'm referring to here basically means that when you have like higher, bigger size files as an example, and you're trying to maybe make a copy of it or move it from one location to another, it might take you a little bit longer because the storage is slower compared to some other ones, like for instance Apple that is using NVMe, or Samsung, which right now is using UFS 4.2, I think it is. So it's going to be a bit behind in terms of speeds. Particularly it would matter if you have, for instance, good cameras right here, and you record, as an example, at 8K. This device doesn't support it though, but as an example, 8K, and the device needs to process that and save it, and that's where faster storage type will also make a difference. Now, moving on into the actual cameras, let's flip it over. We have luckily only one camera. It is a tablet, and I'm saying luckily because I prefer to have one camera rather than having 3 shit cameras, just so it can fill out the space. So one is good if it's decent. And here we have, well, not a very decent camera to be honest. It's an 8 megapixel wide sensor. You can record with it at 1080p, 30 frames. Then at the front, we also have a 8 megapixel wide sensor. Now that being said, apparently both of those are nearly identical in terms of specs. So it's 8 megapixel f2.2 wide. So yeah, both of them boast the same kind of specs, at least as I can see, and yet one doesn't protrude while the other one does. Why? Just make it flash.